morning. It's a nice cool morning and I thought y'all might like to visit the garden this morning. My husband and I put in a garden, well, the raised beds about 3 years ago. We've been working on them little at a time, but they're pretty big and prolific and they look pretty good this year. So anyway, I wanted to share my garden with you. I grow quite a bit of food on these raised beds, and we have a big garden out back that is full of tomatoes and peppers, but and I'll show you that later. But just even in just the raised beds, if you have a small yard and this is all you could do, you can actually put a lot of food in here. So anyway, I want to share it with you this morning. So let's take a trip through the garden. There are 6 raised beds with cattle paddle trellises over them, and I'm able to grow beans, and I grow some flowers, but I grow beans and cucumbers on the trellises. It gives you a lot more growing room. So I have a moonflower over here on this. I like how it grew over the trellis. So it made its way, and it's getting pretty heavy on there, and it should start blooming before long. So I want to show you some Malabar spinach. This is a spinach that grows, it's red Malabar spinach. You can see the red stem on it. It's quite attractive. It does have little blooms on it eventually, but you can cut those leaves off, use them in salad. Tastes like spinach. But the hot weather doesn't bother this like it does regular spinach. Regular spinach is a cool weather crop. I put 6 tomatoes. I put 3 on either side of the trellis, and then I grow other things on this side. I plant on this side so it's easy to weed or whatever. But in the raised beds, you really don't have to deal with weeds very much at all. And so this is my first trellis, and I have a cardinal climber over here. I don't know if you can see the red flowers, but they're really pretty. And they grow pretty fast, and I wanted some, I like to do potager gardening, and I mix some flowers with my vegetables. So over here I have cucamelons. They're cucumbers. They look like tiny little watermelons. Let me see if I can find one for you. Here's one right here. They look like tiny little striped watermelons, and they're crunchy. They don't get very much bigger than this. They will get a little bit bigger. It needs to get bigger before I pick it, but they're really tasty. They stay crunchy. I cut them in half, use them in salads. I grow them for a novelty. It's a pretty plant. Vines all over the trellis, and I always grow those. In fact, most of these this year were volunteer from where cucamelons dropped off last year, and they come back. So I do have a lot of different types of basils growing in my garden, and I just mix them. This thing that looks like I let grass grow up in here is actually lemongrass, and I have plans for that. I'm going to dry some, but I'm going to make a noodle dish out of that. In here we have an Oda pepper. Look at that beautiful purple pepper down here. It's ready to pick. So I'll take that in. These are really beautiful peppers. And I've had them get a little bit bigger than this, but not much. So here are tomatoes. I put 3 tomatoes and staked them on the outside of every raised bed. I have my little sunflowers in here. These little guys. Most of my sunflowers are the big mammoth, but these are so pretty. And the blooms stay on quite a while on those. Sure. Over on this side I have cucumbers. I have 2 varieties this year. I have silver slicer cucumbers, which I'll show you. I picked them last night. And then I have Market More cucumbers. I've always done well with Market More cucumbers, but I wanted to try something new this year. So I tried some silver slicers, and I am happy with them. Look at my corn. We planted corn in compost that we had made, and honestly, it has taken off. We didn't plant it till June, so we were late planting it, but it was in compost, and it is thriving. It has started to tassel, and it's a funny thing about corn, my grandpa was a farmer, and he grew corn, and so anytime I grow corn, I sort of feel like a farmer. I have chard growing down here for salads. Chard can take the hot weather better than, you know, lettuce and all the other greens, so I always keep chard because you can make a salad out of that, and that's fun. Look at these zinnias. Zinnias are one of my favorite flowers, and sorry, you can hear the cars in the background. We live on the edge of town, and we have a half an acre, and we grow quite a bit of food on the half an acre. I have strawberries over here where the goats are. My strawberries were a fail this year because I did not thin them out, and quite honestly, I didn't know I was supposed to, and so maybe next year I'll thin out my strawberries. We had strawberries around the edge, but the ones in the center, they actually just choked themselves out. And here we have fennel, and over here we have lemon basil, or not lemon basil, lemon balm, which I actually need to harvest today and dry for tea. It makes a great medicinal tea. So back here is the big, we call this my husband's tomato bed, and there's a lot of tomatoes in there. So he's staked most of them up and trimmed them back. We've tried to trim all the bottom branches on the tomatoes so that they would not get disease on the bottom leaves. And if you look right in here, you will see a lot of red tomatoes coming on. And there's onions down there we pulled up, and they're drying. We had a great onion crop. We grew candy onions this year, and they turned out really nice. I wanted to bring you guys to the garden this morning. It's a beautiful morning down here. I wanted to come in before the sun came out and it got too hot. But anyway, I hope you have a blessed day, and we will talk more about the garden.